Welcome to Speak as One. I'm Julie Coriath. Today I'm thrilled because we have with us Andra Liemandt. Hey, Andra.
Hi. Oh my gosh, this is so much fun already.
Okay, good. I know it is. We were just saying we'll have to put in the bleepers.
Oh my gosh, yes, for sure.
Well, thank you for being on here today.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. And, I think what you're doing is just really, really important work. So it is my pleasure.
Yeah, well, I follow you and all the work that you do with the Kindness Campaign, and I just thank you for your work, all the work that you're doing to support these kiddos who really need it today.
Yeah, thank you. Well, it has been such a fun journey and an interesting one and a heartfelt one. And I've really been drawn to it. And I wake up every day and, I say the work, but it doesn't feel like work. It feels like just something that I was born to do. And I really enjoy it.
Yeah, that's how I feel about this too.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes waking up and just you feel like you have a purpose that other than kids and life and everything that else, this is something that it really just feeds my soul.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know that any sort of, nonprofit, for-profit, whatever, that's giving back always has more of a story behind that.
Yeah.
So I'd love to learn just a little bit more about you and maybe where you grew up and how you started all of this.
Yeah. Well, okay. So where do I dive in? Do I talk about where I grew up?
Yeah. Good question. I'd love to know just a little bit about where you grew up and the dynamics of that just a little bit.
Okay. It's so funny. I was actually just talking the other day about where I grew up, and my girls always say, I have two daughters. They're now 15 and 17, and they say I kind of start talking with a little bit of a Texas accent whenever I start talking about home. So let me know if I slip there.
Okay.
Because sometimes I'm from a very small town. I'm from Victoria, Texas.
Oh, yeah.
And all my family still lives there, and I absolutely adore my hometown. And it is, like I said, a very small town, and pretty much everybody kind of still lives, lives in and around there, or they didn't go far. They went to Austin or Houston or San Antonio or somewhere in a small Texas area. And if you got out, man, you're like, where in the world did you go to New York? Where'd you go? So it's a very loving town, and I'm very proud to have been from there. My mom went to high school there. My grandparents are from there. And so it is, like I said, I'm very proud to have been from there. It's my grandmother, I grew up, they had a farm, so a lot of my life I grew up with, whether it was being in town or going out to the farm and really learning some of those core values of what it meant to kind of do the hard work. And I learned that not just from my grandpa, my grandmother. My grandmother made every single dress that my mom made and wore to school. My mom made all of my, clothes, like my dresses that I wore to school. And I always challenged her by trying to combine two, I was wanted mine to be the most different. So I'd combined at Joann Fabrics the two, patterns. And so, I grew up very, what I thought, it was artistic, but yet home, very homey. We had, we always had fresh tomatoes and those kinds of things. But I loved my upbringing, and it was very family oriented, very community oriented, and very loving. And moving to Austin and meeting my husband and having my own family, I felt my parents are still married today, going over 50 years, and I felt a lot of those values as I started raising my own kids, that those needed to be centered in my own home, even though we're in the big city of Austin.
Right. Yeah.
So
what brought you to Austin?
That's a great question. I went to school, again, in a small town, Seguin. Okay, went to Texas Lutheran, and at the time it was TLC, which I always love because it's like tender love and care, but now it's Texas Lutheran University. And I didn't go far from home because actually I didn't know if I could. We were, makes me emotional. My father struggled a little bit in the 80s. He was a home builder, so we were not really, financially sound often. And so I wasn't quite sure if that was in the cards for me. And it wasn't, what I see today with all the kiddos and the pressure of having, that's the next step, go off to college. So for me, I was very proud when I got to go to college. It wasn't that you went to college. So getting to go to college was really exciting for me. And my mom, being a school teacher, pretty much every paycheck went for me going off to college. And so, sorry.
That's okay.
So that was a really exciting time. I knew I had to get in and out of college. I didn't want to be a burden to my family. So sorry. But that was a really exciting time. And Austin was not far from Seguin, so we always drove up to Austin as our, like dance across Texas. I loved a country dance. And so that was kind of our break when we were in school. I had a lot of dear friends that lived in Austin and went to college here. And so we would come up and visit. And so Austin was just kind of a natural place where we landed. That was just the path. I don't know that I really thought much about going into the world or going, outside of Texas. It's like, where am I going next? Is it, Dallas, Houston? I'm a Texas girl.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel I am too.
Yeah. I didn't really think about going back home. I at the time, my degree was kinesiology, sports and fitness management.
Oh yeah.
And so I had thought, well, I'm going to go to Austin and figure out how I can be. I really wanted to be Jane Fonda is who I wanted to be. I was going to do, at the time there wasn't TikTok and all the videos, but I was like, I'm going to make a video series and, put it on one of those, big videos that people,
yes.
CDs,
VHS.
CDs
Yeah.
or VHS and stick it in so, they can watch me on their TV.
I love it.
So at the time I was thinking about, I'm really aging myself, but I was thinking about all of those things because I was trying to create the next big gym equipment. I was thinking, my dad's always been an entrepreneur, and I was thinking after him, like, what can I do that would help impact the world and in a way in that industry, because I was very fascinated by the body and how we can keep improving our body.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you for sharing your story about your parents, because it's hard to see your family struggle, especially when you're so close to them.
Yeah.
And they just must be so proud of you.
Thank you for saying that. They are, and I'm proud of them. My dad came back, and oh my gosh, he is so successful to date. I think that one of the things that I learned the most from both my parents, I think they were equally. My dad was the entrepreneur. My mom retired as a teacher. She taught me kindergarten, by the way, but she was a speech pathologist. So I hope I'm pronouncing with good pronunciation. But both of my parents, through their love for one another, their love for me, and their love for people, taught me that that it's small things in life, whether you are caring for the person in front of you. My dad, he never met a stranger that he wouldn't help or care for, whether it was my roommate in college. He didn't, like I said, have 2 nickels to rub, but my roommate in college at one point, she was working jobs, trying to put herself through college, and he goes, and then one day she showed up and she said, I can't afford to go to school anymore, I'm gonna have to leave. And my dad looked at me and he goes, we're gonna figure it out. And he helped her figure it out, and he got her a scholarship and made it work. And the thing is where you have people that wanna rally around you, and when you ask for help, people that see you, they will show up for you. And if you are doing that in the right way with the right values and in the right care, it can happen for you. You're not alone ever. And so it's just about doing that. And my parents taught me that. And so I'm very proud of them. Today, I'm very proud of them. And I do believe they're proud of me. They show up for me. They just showed up for a big event I did for the Kindness Campaign. And speaking about how it started, the kindness campaign, I want to share that my dad showed up for me for the first time, that I brought him the idea, and then I want to go back to why it started. But I remember, and I brought here today my first and Effie Buddy character, but I'll show it to you. But I created this Nephi Buddy doll for my girls, and to help them heal. And I looked at my dad and I was like, this little guy needs life. And my dad said, I'll be your first investor. And to date, he's never not invested in me. And I think that not everybody has a parent like that, but there's someone there that wants to invest in you. Find them, because people want to believe in people. People are good, and people want to see the good in people. And so my journey has been that. I've always looked for the good in people, and it's because my parents saw it in me first. The why do I do what I do, and why did this all begin? Really, the kindness campaign started out of trying to heal my own pain, trying to find answers for something that, if anyone has ever experienced this in their own life, and this could be something that, if you're hearing this, please know that I'm sorry. This is painful. I had a dear friend whose daughter took her life, and she was young, and it was one of the hardest things I have ever experienced. My daughters were very young at the time, and her mother was very dear to our family. We saw her every day, and her entire family was important to us. And I was in the hospital with her daughter when the priest was there, and when she left us. And I went home and didn't really understand what had happened. And I was trying to kind of come to understanding of how to share this with my girls, and to understand that this could have, why, I didn't have reasonings, and I don't know that you ever really do. So in my own healing and in my own confusion, I started thinking about pain, and how can I have my girls, when they weren't with me, know that they were enough. And so I started a journal, and I thought of course, at the time, gamifying, and there were apps that were starting, and there was the iPhone came out. Yeah. Oh my goodness, the iPhone, yeah. Changing the world. And I thought, okay, how can I gamify something in school? And how can I do something that would make the kids know that they were loved by, not just by me, because I hope that they feel that every day when they come home, but at school. So that was this little paper journal. It was black and white, and I created this little character called Nephi Buddy, and had these antennas, and I did it at the table with my kids in our, kitchen, in our apartment. And we named him Nephi Buddy, because he was enough, just the way he was. And we just started storytelling, just like you do. Mm-hmm. And we started asking, what are some things that you might feel or want to hear? And in the back, how we gamified it was, you would take this to school, and then you could have a friend sign it in your classroom, and I could only sign nice things, and then you could get stickers. Mm-hmm. And then by the time you got done with it, it would be gamified. You would have, tons of stickers, and you would have, won the game or whatever it was. And anyways, when I brought it to my children's school, the principal was like, I love this so much. And he's like, let's have it for the whole school. And I was like, not just their classroom. So Kinko's, I was like, this is going to be a big Kinko's bill. I was like, okay. So we started there. And today, it went from there to, 5 more schools to then 80 schools within the first, 3 years to then now we're nationwide. So that's a quick, why to now where we are today.
When did you start Enoughy Buddy?
So that was in 2000. Where are we now? We're in 2023. Okay, so 2015.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to know. It's kind of all a blur for me.
Right.
But yes, So we've been about 8 years. Yeah. So.
And then going back to your friend's daughter.
Yeah.
Was she being bullied? Okay.
Yes. And they're very private, so we don't, they're healing.
Mm-hmm.
I think, I still meet with them and talk with them, but they're very proud of this. Mm-hmm. My friend's daughter wanted to be a teacher, and so they are,
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a great way to give back to her life, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I would never want to be in their shoes. But again, I never thought I would be in the shoes I'm in. And if I'm really being honest with myself, I was scared. And as a new mom, I always tell my girls just celebrated birthdays. And I'm like, oh boy, I've never been a mom to a 17-year-old. And I've never been a mom to a 15-year-old. So please, bear with me. I'm learning every year how to be a new mom at this stage. And so when this happened, I was parenting a little bit out of fear.
Right.
Because if we all are really honest, we're fumbling through it as parents, and sure, we're grown adults, but I remember when I brought my first child home from the hospital and just being in the car seat, and I just stared at her. And I was like, go really slow on the highway. Well, we've been through that highway a million times, but I thought, don't hit a bump,
I can so relate to that.
Right.
I mean, I remember when my son was born, I couldn't even fall asleep because I guess I watched too many Lifetime movies when I was younger.
Yeah.
I was like, somebody gonna come in and steal him.
Yeah, just don't hit a bump. I don't know what's gonna happen when we hit bumps and we're in the car seat and we're alone and we're not in the hospital. No one breathe, And so I think when it finally clicked with me to give myself a break, to just understand that because I'm a mom, it doesn't mean I have to know everything, and it doesn't mean I have to have it all to just be okay that I'm gonna fumble, but to be honest with my girls in that,
Yes.
I haven't done this before.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
and you
I'm
can
your mom.
read all the books,
Yeah,
and it still doesn't prepare you.
So being scared, I launched a whole nonprofit. And but what happened in that process was a lot of healing for me. I have learned so much in the emotional health space. First of all, I've learned a lot about what it takes to be a leader. I learned that I wasn't a very good one in the beginning. I was horrible. I learned that
you have such a kind heart. I can't imagine that you were horrible.
I have a really incredible team that they have stood by me, and they have cheered me on, and they have been so loving, and they've helped me grow. And the thing that I've learned the most about myself is that I love being in the emotional health space because it allowed me to learn not only how to be, give myself grace, have compassion for myself, have empathy for everyone around me, And then like learn to be a better leader through it all. Like say, okay, Andra, you're not going to be good at that. Let someone else take the reins.
Yeah.
But before I thought, when I first started, like I needed to be good at everything in order to lead, that I couldn't let them see me not be good at something. And that was hard because I thought, oh, I run this. I should know everything. But how could I have? I'd never done it before. And that's the same thing as being a mom. Like you want your kids to like see you leading them, but your kids want to see you be vulnerable.
Right. Yes.
If you're constantly showing them that you're perfect, they don't know how to be imperfect too.
Right.
And so when I sat down, and I remember the first time I sat down and I said, wow, to my oldest, I totally messed up. I'm really sorry. Let me tell you how I might have been able to do that better. I don't know I'm going to do it better next time, but let me tell you. You know how I learned that? From the kindness campaign.
Yeah.
From my own stuff. That guess what? My team taught me.
And guess what? Your kids, when you say that,
Yeah.
they're so forgiving.
Yeah.
I think that I'm sorry, could have done it
Yeah.
better, goes a long way.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that it needs to take days. It
No.
usually kind of heals itself right there in that moment.
Yeah. And I think that the tools that we created all along the journey keep getting better, keep evolving. You know, the foundational tools, we have 4 pillars.
Yeah, I'd love to know. Can break that
Yeah,
down for
so
us.
we have 4 pillars,
Okay.
which I'm so grateful that we established and we continue to use. The foundational is I'm enough, of course, our main mascot and Nuffy Buddy, but we have I'm enough, which is foundational for everything.
And I and just, you know, with my own kids, trying to teach them that they're enough.
Yes.
You know, learning myself, that took me, I'm 46 now.
Oh.
I mean, that, I feel like it took me 44 or 45 years
Yeah.
to really embody that. And so if you don't embody that as an adult, how
I-
are your kids going to embody that? And that's okay.
It's daily practice.
It is daily practice. It's something like this, I feel like, could be such an instrumental tool. If they don't see it at home, at least they're starting to learn it.
Yes, it's you have to start young,
Yeah.
and then if you are just getting introduced to that message of it being enough, sometimes it can feel very much like, okay, this is not going to fit with me because how could I'm not worthy, or I don't feel that, it doesn't resonate with
And
me.
by the way, that's okay because we weren't taught that. And I don't even think our parents knew what that meant. You know what I
No.
mean? We didn't start learning about these types of things until recently.
I've had my mom ask me, how do you know all this? I didn't teach you this.
Yeah.
And that's true. And you know, my mom, and I'm like, Mom, trust me, you taught me. You taught me everything I know to be able to be open to learning. And there's keys there for parenting, of having your kids be open to accepting these messages. And I'm enough is very, very important. From there, our pillars of being self-image, emotional awareness, empathy, and community. Every tool we create is built around these pillars. Self-image, being able to love yourself, and then being able to give kindness to others. So you first internally, learning to have kindness for yourself. Every morning I wake up and I have a ritual.
Okay, tell us. I gotta know.
And it's short because
Yeah, we don't have time.
you're busy, I'm busy. It's short. But I do a few things that really set me up so that I have some bandwidth to take on any kind of stress. I know that sometimes I can have a short fuse that doesn't let me, go the distance, right? I've got stressors that come in, anxieties, things that build up. So what I do is I take time for myself, if that means getting up a little early. And a couple of them are, I have a breath technique where I breathe in and I say, I am loved. And then I breathe out, I give love. Now you can extend on that and you can do the box breathing. In for, hold for, and out 8,
Right.
where it really helps to set. There's a lot of different breath work. The messaging there is about that, sending that mantra to you can change up the mantra, you can do whatever feels good to you.
Right. Whatever works for me.
But that's what I do for me because I feel like it works. I set a timer on my phone for 2 minutes, and then I play a great like meditation song. Now, you can do any kind of assortment of that. 2 minutes is what I have. You can extend it longer for 5, whatever makes sense for you. I lay flat. Now, I have one of those higher dose mats. You can do whatever you want, and I like to send some good vibes to myself.
What is a higher dose mat?
So basically, it sends some good energy to yourself, and it's heated. So I like to kind of heat up my body in the morning before I get going. So I lay on it. It really kind of sets my mood and my intention.
So no ice baths for you?
No, I recently was introduced to that, and so I do think there's a lot of value, and if you're doing that, that's great. Like do that.
Right.
I just I don't have access to it, so no, I don't do it. But I think that if you can do your cold shower or any of that, like introduce and do whatever you can.
Yeah, and I think do what also feels right to you.
Yeah.
Because I've tried the ice or the showers, the really cold showers. I get cold so easily, and it's almost like torture for me. It's not the thing that's going to make me feel good.
Yeah.
So, it's really trying to find, I love that you make this so simple because I think sometimes people think of meditation and they think it has to be 15 minutes.
No, and it does. I mean, you can do what
you can extend it.
You can extend. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll put on a Deepak Chopra like meditation while I'm doing something else, and I'll listen to him, which is probably not, but I'll listen to him while I'm getting set up to do my gratitude journal. And I keep my gratitude journal on my desk. I'll sit up and I'll do 3 things I'm grateful for. And I make sure I continue it every day. Sometimes it's literally, if I need to get back in a habit of doing it, if I've been on vacation and I can't do it and something's happened, I say, I'm grateful for my husband, my daughter, both my daughters and my parents or something.
Right. Get
in a habit and then start your flow, but 3 things. And that way you feel really solid that gratitude then continues throughout your day. The more you can set your tone. I try to do something that I'm grateful for the day before because then it reminds me of all the goodness going on in my life. But those are just some simple things. I mean, there's plenty of other things that I do, from Bible studies to some other studies, but those are some things, whatever you have in your life that you're doing, but those are some ways to really set your day. We have our Kind Gym app, which we've got a lot of things that we have at the Kindness Campaign that are tools. So if you want to kind of, I don't want to self-promote, but definitely.
Please, no, because I want people to know where they can find this. This is important.
Okay. So our Kind Gym app is something else that I do, which is really, really simple. Again, we try to keep things, easy to do, easy to implement. It's free, but it's an app that literally gives you a couple things you can do throughout your day. So you can listen to that and implement. If it's telling you to give yourself, clean out your desk drawer, to Marie Kondo. Clean out your drawer, or to take some steps to, I think April is anger April, and so you can kind of go through all of your emotions are really important. With our Kind Gym app, it really takes you through exercising in your emotional muscles, because we believe the more you use them, the stronger they become, and you're ready for any kind of emotion that comes towards you. And so when they're flexed, what tool you're going to use, then you're just more capable.